She paid for 3 nights in advance. Cash. No credit card, no ID scan. The clerk remembered her smile. By morning of the second day, she was gone. Her car was still in the lot. Her suitcase was still on the bed. Her shoes were still by the door. The room looked like she had stepped out for 5 minutes. That was 11 years ago. Nobody has claimed the suitcase. The shoes are still in the evidence locker. And no one has ever found her. The Clearwater Motor Inn sat on a 2-lane highway in rural Oregon. 22 rooms. A vending machine. A night clerk who worked alone from 10 p.m. until 6 a.m. Room 11 was in the middle of the row. Not the end, not the beginning. The kind of room nobody specifically requests. She asked for it by number. The date was October 4, 2013. A Thursday. The motel had 4 other guests that night. None of them saw her after check-in. None of them heard anything. The night clerk, a 23-year-old named Kevin, said she checked in around 11 p.m. She was calm. She did not seem frightened. She did not seem rushed. She paid $312 in cash. Kevin noted the exact amount because it was unusual. Guests who paid cash usually paid for 1 night. Not 3. She signed the register as Claire M. The last name was a single initial. Kevin did not ask for more. He handed her the key and she walked to room 11 without asking for directions. At 11:47 p.m. the security camera at the end of the corridor showed her walking to the vending machine. She bought a bottle of water. She walked back to room 11. At 2:14 a.m. the camera showed the corridor empty. The light outside room 11 was on. The curtain was drawn. No movement was recorded until morning. At 6:03 a.m. the day clerk arrived for his shift. He noticed her car still in the lot. A blue Honda Civic, Oregon plates. He thought nothing of it. Early morning checkout was normal. At 11 a.m. he knocked on room 11 for checkout. No answer. He knocked again. He used his master key. The door opened to a room that looked like someone had just left. The bed was partially unmade on one side. The other side was untouched. Her suitcase was open on the luggage rack, clothes folded inside. Her phone charger was plugged into the wall. Her purse was on the nightstand. Inside, $43 in cash, a lip balm, a folded receipt from a gas station dated the day before, and no identification whatsoever. No wallet. No driver's license. No bank cards. No keys. Just $43 and a The clerk called the sheriff. The sheriff arrived within 40 minutes. He walked through the room once and called it in as a possible. Detectives processed the room for 3 days. They found fingerprints, hair samples, traces of a perfume they cataloged but never matched to any brand sold in the United States. The car was registered to a woman named Susan Ellery of Portland. Police contacted Susan Ellery. She said she had sold the car 6 months prior for cash to a woman she had never met before. The sale was informal. No paperwork. Susan described the buyer as mid-30s, brown hair, average height. She said the woman had been friendly and had not haggled over the price. The gas station receipt led investigators to a Shell station on Route 18. Security footage from that day showed a woman matching the description filling the tank and paying cash inside. The footage was too low resolution to enhance usefully. The woman wore sunglasses inside the store. She bought fuel, 2 bottles of water, and a road map of coastal Oregon. A road map. Not a phone. Not GPS. A paper road map of a state she apparently did not know well enough to navigate without one. Investigators noted this and moved on. Her shoes were navy blue canvas flats, size 7. The brand was not sold in North America. It was manufactured exclusively in a small factory in Portugal until that factory closed in 2009. She was wearing shoes that had not been sold anywhere in the United States in at least 4 years. Shoes that would be difficult to find even in Europe by 2013. Investigators ran the fingerprints through every available database. No match. They ran the DNA from the hair samples. No match. Claire M. did not exist in any system. This was not unusual for someone who had never been arrested or fingerprinted. But combined with no ID, cash payment, and untraceable car, it suggested something deliberate. A forensic linguist analyzed the handwriting in the register. She said the signature showed signs of someone writing carefully, as if trying to produce a specific style rather than their natural hand. The perfume traces were sent to a specialist in Paris who identified the base compounds as consistent with a private formula, the kind made for a specific client rather than sold commercially. Someone had made perfume specifically for this woman, or she had made it herself. Either way, it could not be used to identify her. It was one more detail that led nowhere. A sketch artist worked with Kevin the night clerk for 6 hours. The resulting image was distributed regionally. 4 people called in with possible identifications. All 4 were dead ends. One caller said the sketch looked like her neighbor who had moved away 2 years ago. Police tracked down the neighbor in Arizona. She was alive and accounted for and had never been to Oregon. Another caller said it looked like a woman he had seen once at a rest stop near the coast, years before. He could not say when. He could not say anything else. The call was logged and filed. The suitcase became the center of the investigation. It was a mid-range brand, available at major retailers across North America. The serial number had been removed. Inside, for changes of clothes, all in her size, all clean and folded. A small toiletry bag containing items from 3 different countries. A paperback novel in French. The novel was a French thriller published in 1987, out of print since the late 90s. A name was written on the inside cover in pencil, then erased. Forensics recovered the impression. The name was Elise. Nothing else. Just Elise, written carefully in the upper right corner of the first page and then erased as if the writer had changed their mind. At the bottom of the suitcase, wrapped in a gray scarf, was a photograph. Black and white. A woman and a child standing in front of a building investigators could not identify. The woman in the photograph was not identified. The child appeared to be around 7 or 8 years old. The building behind them had architectural features consistent with Eastern Europe. The photograph had no date, no writing, no studio markings. It had been handled many times, the edges worn soft. It was something she had carried for a long time. The photograph was the only personal item in the suitcase. No letters. No other photos. No documents. Just one worn photograph of 2 people in front of a building nobody could name. Investigators reconstructed her last known movements with what little they had. Vending machine at 11:47. Room light on until at least 2 a.m. Gone before 6 a.m. That meant she left, or was taken, in a window of roughly 4 hours. In that time, no camera recorded anyone entering or leaving the corridor near room 11. The motel had 2 exits. The front entrance, covered by a camera. And a fire exit at the back, which opened onto a gravel service road. The fire exit had no camera. The fire exit door could be opened from inside without a key. It would trigger an alarm if the system was armed. The system had not been armed that night. A maintenance oversight. The service road behind the motel connected to a county road half a mile east. From there it was a straight shot to the highway in either direction with no traffic cameras for 16 miles. If she left voluntarily through the fire exit, she left without her shoes, without her purse, without her charger, without the photograph. She left everything she had brought with her. If she did not leave voluntarily, someone knew about the fire exit, the unarmed alarm, and the gap in camera coverage. Someone had been there before, or had done their research. The case generated three main theories. The first, she was running from something and disappeared deliberately, abandoning her belongings to leave no trail. The second, she was taken by someone who had followed her to the motel, knew her routine, and used the unmonitored exit. Someone who left no trace because they knew how. The third, proposed by a retired detective who reviewed the case files in 2018, she was not who she appeared to be, and her disappearance was not the first time she had done this. The retired detective noted that everything about her suggested practiced invisibility. The cash, the lack of ID, the untraceable car, the erased name in the book. Not panic. Habit. He believed she had disappeared before and knew how to do it. What he could not explain was why she had left the photograph. That, he said, was the only thing she could not make herself leave behind. The photograph suggested a person. The worn edges suggested she had carried it for years. Whatever she was running from, or toward, there was someone she could not entirely let go of. The case remains open. Every year or two a tip comes in. A woman matching the description seen at a border crossing, at a ferry terminal, at a small hotel in another country. None of the tips have been confirmed. None have led to an identification. Claire M. remains a name with a single initial and a face in a low-resolution gas station video. The suitcase is in storage at the county evidence facility. The shoes are boxed beside it. The photograph is in a sealed envelope. The novel in French sits on a shelf. Kevin, the night clerk, is 34 now. He says he still thinks about her sometimes. Not about what happened. Just about the way she smiled when he handed her the key. She did not look like someone who was afraid. She did not look like someone saying goodbye to everything. She looked like someone who had already made their decision long before she arrived. 3 nights paid. 1 night stayed. Everything left behind except the reason she came. The Clearwater Motor Inn still stands. Room 11 is still rented. Nobody asks for it by number.